So let's begin. All right, friends, welcome to our meditation time. I invite you just to settle in. Whatever is going on around you, whatever weather is happening, whatever sounds that you hear in the house, just allow your eyes to close as this way of just letting it all go and really bringing your focus internally, almost to the point that you can't hear, or you almost can't hear the sounds around you because you're so focused on what's going on within. And sometimes we turn our attention inward and we hear all these thoughts in our head and we notice all these sensations in our body. But that's so fitting for the Yoga Sutra that has inspired our practice today. It says, "And now the mind is fit for concentration." So as you turn your attention inward, don't worry if you notice thoughts or you notice sensations. Just concentrate there for just a moment. Take them all in. The same way that if you were still paying attention to the sounds of the weather or the air conditioner or the movement in the house, you would take it in, you would notice it. Do the same thing internally. Just concentrate there for just a few breaths and see what you notice. Oftentimes, that is the most uncomfortable part of meditation. Turning our concentration inward and just watching what the mind does. Noticing how the emotions feel. But as we settle in here together, we're going to use the very best tool that we have for this theme that the Yoga Sutras tell us is so possible, this concentration. Because Patanjali spent an entire limb of yoga talking about concentration. The same way he spent an entire limb talking about all these postures. So just imagine hundreds of ways of moving your body gets the same amount of focus and attention as concentration. So it must be pretty important to our practice. And the very best tool that we have is the tool of our breath. Because just before he tells us that the mind is now fit for concentration, he teaches us how to breathe. He takes us through the cycle of connecting the in and the out. He takes us to the cycle of holding the in breath for just a second before you let it go. And then he says, okay, now your mind is fit for concentration. And so what I'd like us to do to begin is just really notice, what are you concentrating on? What internal narrative, what rumblings, or maybe what quiet and peaceful way of being? What are you concentrating on? Where is your energy going, your focus, your attention? And now let's bring ourselves to that breath. We're going to start off just breathing in this really beautiful balanced way, just in and out, and in and out. And then we'll practice for a few rounds that cycle of the in turning into the out, and the out turning into the in. And you just feel this beautiful rhythm where you're not sure where one begins and one ends. And then we'll take a few rounds where, after we inhale, we'll hold for just a few seconds. And then we'll exhale slowly. And so it's almost like we're doing asana for our concentration. We're doing these movements so that we can direct the concentration and the focus of the mind. Instead of the thunderstorms outside or the narrative in our heads or the noises in the house, we'll determine it from this spot right in the center of you. And so as you sit up nice and tall, or you stretch out nice and long if you're lying down, just take another breath on your own just to kind of settle. And let's see if we can shift the concentration to where we want it to go. So let's take a slow, deep breath in. And with that same rhythm, a slow, deep breath out. And then a breath in. And a breath out. And one more like that. A balanced breath in, followed by a balanced breath out. And now let's see if we can join the in breath and the out breath together. So finish this breath that you're taking, and let's see if we can connect them as really just beautiful, cyclical kind of way. So breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. And in and out. And in and out. Now just take a breath on your own. And in the next few rounds, we're going to try to hold at the top for just a few seconds. So let's take a deep breath in and hold. And breathe out. And take a deep breath in and hold. And breathe out. And one more deep breath in and hold. And breathe out. And as your breath returns to that normal tidal rhythm that works for you, turn your attention inward and concentrate there and see what you notice. And so maybe you're noticing is really concrete and you can feel something, you can sense it. Maybe your noticing was really quiet, almost like you're kind of straining to know what's there because it's so quiet and it's so subtle. Or maybe that narrative, those interrupting thoughts are still persisting. None of those are right or wrong answers. They just are what they are in this moment. And so I want to just kind of give us a visual. Think about if you've ever gone to the gym or even to a yoga class that's a little more physical. You notice what's happening through that physical practice. You notice how your joints feel. You notice the tension in your muscles. You notice when your body starts to get hot. And you notice when it's time to change. Maybe you've been lifting a certain weight or holding a certain posture and the body tells you it's time to move on. And you go on to the next thing. And you're noticing and you're watching and you're concentrating as you're doing these movements. And then again, you get this signal that says it's time to go on to the next thing. And so we do that in our physical movement, our physical practices. And it helps us to really focus and concentrate on whatever we're doing in that moment. You're not making a grocery list when you're at the gym lifting weights. You're not thinking about all the past traumas and all the mistakes you've made in your life when you're holding a yoga posture on one foot. You're so present. You're so in the moment. You're so concentrated. So why is it that we can't use that same method for being in this present moment, concentrating all the other parts of our life? Why does it seem so much easier when we're moving our bodies and so much harder when we're standing in line at the grocery store or driving in traffic or making dinner? Well, Patanjali tells us it's not any harder. You just have to train for it. The same way you train that physical body and you have those movements to create health and focus and concentration and attention, you do it with the breath for all the other moments. You train your mind to be fit for concentration. And so just think about it. You don't go to the gym and After 30 minutes, walk out expecting to see this revolutionary transformation in your body. You know that that concentrated effort takes time. And then all of a sudden you look up and it's months later, and those weights that seemed so heavy, you realize it's time to change the weight and move up. Or that posture that seems so unattainable on your mat, and all of a sudden you're just standing there on one leg, breathing. It's because of the concentrated effort that you've been making over time. But couldn't we give the same dedication, the same focus to our breath practice to inform all those other hours of our day? So that as we are standing in line waiting, or as we are sitting in the doctor's office, or picking someone up from school, or running our errands, or doing all these seemingly mundane tasks of life, could we not practice this there? And I think what Patanjali is telling us is, yes, we must. We must train our mind and make it fit for concentration. I looked in lots of translations for this particular sutra, and almost all of them use that word fit. Making the mind fit. So I'd like us to practice it again. We're going to go through this cycle of breath and just really give all of our attention, all of our focus to how we're breathing. Almost like a signal to our mind that I need you to be here and now. There's nothing more important than our focus on this breath. And so you're telling your mind, just stay with me. The same way you talk to your body when you're lifting those weights or you're standing on that one foot, just stay with me. Let's do the same thing for our mind. Be really intentional about following this breath. And let's see if today can't be this first step toward training the mind toward becoming fit for true, healthy concentration. So just let this next breath go. Finish your breath on your own. And again, lengthen your spine in whatever way you are seated or lying down. And let's breathe in. And let's breathe out. And inhale. And exhale. In and out. Now let's find the cycle. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. In, out. And now let's hold it. Breathing in, hold at the top. Breathing out. Breathing in. Hold at the top. Breathing out. Breathing in. Hold at the top. Breathing out. And pause. And notice. In those few just seemingly simple cycles of breath, I can't help but feel this overwhelmed sense of how simple it is and how much time in my life I have wasted not relying on the simple tool of breathing. And then that thought goes away, and I'm just as overwhelmed by the chance to do it now. I don't want to lament over all the missed moments, all the impatience, all the lack of concentration. I want to start now in this present moment right here. so that the next time I am waiting in the doctor's office and they are running late, my attention goes to my breath. I'm training my mind for concentration, and at the same time, there's no chance that I become impatient or frustrated. And then I'm in a restaurant, and it's noisy, and it's overwhelming, and it's loud. And I remember I can train my mind even here, and I breathe in and out, and I concentrate there. And all the overwhelming noise around me seems to get a little quieter. And I don't feel anxious. I don't feel stressed. And so you can apply this to every part of your life. Apply it in the places that you know you struggle. Mine is impatience. And when I know I have to wait, or I'm in traffic and all the lights in front of me on the taillights are red, what a beautiful chance to train my mind. Using my tools of breath, concentrating on the present moment. And then all of a sudden the brake lights change and we move on. And so whatever it is for you that you need to really nurture and cultivate this concentration, try it there. When there's difficult people around you, breathe. Make your mind fit. Stay in the present moment. I think it's such a gift that he keeps reminding us, verse after verse in the sutras, you've just got to breathe. Not to stay alive, but to truly thrive in this life that you've been given. So let's just pause here. No more breath work that's counting down or telling you how to breathe, but instead, what if we just pause in a moment of gratitude? So grateful for the simplicity of this practice, and so grateful for the magnitude of the impact that it can have in our lives. Let's just pause. And then let's close our practice with just a couple breaths together, just to really seal this commitment that we want to be in training. As much as we commit time at the gym, or we commit time in the yoga class, or in whatever it looks like for you, commit time to this. In those moments that seem like something needs to fill the space, let it be your breath. And so as we take just these last couple breaths together, just the first breath being one of gratitude, and then that second one of commitment. We'll take this awareness and we'll use it to train this mind to become fit for concentration. So breathing in, so grateful for the simplicity of the breath. Breathing out. And breathing in, committing to try to use the tool of the breath in a way that will serve us in ways we can't even imagine. And breathing out. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your practice. Thank you for being a part of mine and inspiring me to keep going back to the simple tools and stop making life so difficult. Namaste.